So if you go surfing through our social media comments, our YouTube comments, odds are you're going to find a lot of people talking about a couple of things. One, fantasy football, and two, an XFL video game. Well, we have
Right.
some news on both of them. One of them more concrete, and I guess we'll start with that one. DraftKings, which I know you guys are super pumped about because all three of you play
Yep.
DraftKings. I'm more of a season-long fantasy guy, but XFL and DraftKings are, it's coming. They haven't announced much more than that, other than that it's going to be on their platform. But that's huge news in terms of building the brand and getting fantasy football out there, because these other alternative leagues have not done anything close to what we're talking about right now with fantasy football and a potential video game.
Yeah, I think when you think about it, the growth of the NFL really corresponded with the growth of fantasy football and the ability for the average fan to tune in to every game and keep eyeballs on all the different games that are going on throughout the day on Sunday because of their fantasy football teams. And we knew that this was an integral part for the XFL to grow in popularity. To me, I'm actually going to speak for all of us here, but we kind of anticipated this move to DraftKings, mainly because Vince McMahon is a principal investor in DraftKings. But daily fantasy, man, I think if you look at the stats and a lot of the people I know really opt for daily fantasy now more than the year-long fantasy leagues that you're kind of used to. So for me, I think this is fantastic for the league. It's going to get people instantly involved with every game starting on February 8th, even if you don't know the players very well. That's kind of the beauty of daily fantasy. So I think it's a fantastic move by the XFL.
That's why it's perfect for the XFL.
And daily fantasy has really expanded my kind of my fellowship, my interest in other sports. Like, I didn't really follow the NBA, and then I started playing daily fantasy on the NBA, and now I follow a lot more. Like, I'm invested in it.
Yeah.
So I really like that they're kind of taking the daily route over the season long. And we kind of talked about in a prior video some of the challenges a season long league might have, but daily fantasy is perfect. And
especially with 8 teams.
Yeah.
Right. With 8 teams, it's tough to do the traditional fantasy football that we're all used to. And we talked about this on previous shows, but that's what makes it such an ideal spot for fans to get involved. And honestly, it's money on a daily basis. Right.
Yep.
We've also said in order for this league to take off, you have to get in with sports gambling. And this is kind of a great avenue to get that median fan to go ahead and log on their app and play every Sunday for every Saturday and Sunday for the games.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is it, go ahead, Pastor.
Well, and I just think name recognition. Most successful leagues that we have out here, it's the name recognition. It's the Aaron Rodgers, the Tom Brady, or in the college ranks, it's the Tua. You know these players, so that's why you tune in. Quality football obviously is a huge factor, but you want to see some like stars. You want to see some name recognition. The best way to do that is have fantasy football. Now, daily fantasy is probably the best thing for the XFL because there should be players changing out so much. But now that when I pick up my $4,000 athlete, right? If I have a $50,000 salary cap, $4,000 athlete is kind of probably a lower level player, a third string wide receiver. But that's making me understand who the third string wide receiver for the DC Defenders actually is.
That's a great point.
I'm starting to follow all these players now, which helps me and helps the XFL get to know everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have to do daily, right? If you do a season long, just truth is most of these fans that are coming to the XFL don't know a lot of these players. You have to kind of learn them. And so that's why daily fantasy, when you kind of see the values and you're kind of growing, going week to week and, you're redrafting, you're able by like week 3, week 4, you're starting to, recognize these names. You're seeing who's standing out, who's not. So, players are starting to make a name for themselves. Where in a season long, everyone's drafting before the season and you don't know who anybody is.
And it forces you to learn lesser known players because you have to use lesser known players to stay under the salary cap. You just can't pick a bunch of A-list, B-list players and hope to stay under the salary cap. It doesn't work like that. So, it's forced me to really, again, like the NBA motto, I'm following guys who are like second string shooting guard and point guards on teams because I'm picking them in my daily so I have salary cap room. It's going to be the same thing here.
And purely from a betting standpoint, right? So college football is over, NFL is over. There's not a huge segment of people that were betting these last 3 or 4 months that they don't really bet on NBA. They don't bet on NHL. They don't really bet on the upcoming baseball season. They're just football bettors. And now where do they turn to? Well, now the XFL gets all those bettors that want to continue to bet on football.
That's a great point because there's a lot of gamblers out there that will only gamble on certain sports because they feel comfortable with it. And a large section of those are actually football, just because it's so much easier to predict in a sense, because baseball, you never know depending on who's pitching. Hockey's another really tough one. NBA, I mean, I did it a couple times and like actually taking lines in Vegas, and I lost both times because the NBA is so tough to bet on. But football makes it really easy to get into that, and that's why I think it was a no-brainer for the XFL to really start this train rolling. And I think the most important thing is it keeps eyeballs on the screen Saturdays and Sundays when you're checking your daily fantasy to see how it's going.
Yeah, you made a great point earlier, Glass. That's when the NFL really just skyrocketed in terms of popularity, is when they got fantasy involved. It's going to be harder for the XFL because there's only 8 teams. You don't know the players, but this is a great way to get to know the players and incorporate fantasy. And also, we've been getting a ton of comments of people that want an XFL video game. Now, my days of playing video games are long over with 2 small children, but I know that you guys in your young single lives are playing video games on the reg. So would you be interested in an XFL video game?
I would love an XFL video game, and I would love for there to be more competition within the football video game market again. The hot rumor, and obviously it's not confirmed, is that 2K Sports is going to be the provider of an XFL football game. And you think about their connection to NBA 2K20 and WWE, they make the WWE video game, so it makes sense. But remember when they were in market and they were competing with Madden, NFL 2K5 is like one of the most cherished football video games of all time. They made amazing football games, and they really only got to make football games for like 6 or 7 years. But if you look at what they do now in the sports world, NBA 2K20 ran NBA Live out of town twice. They brought back NBA Live to compete with it, and they quit making it again. So they make the best sports games out there pretty much. And everybody knows EA and Madden, they've kind of rested on their laurels a little bit. They haven't had a lot of innovation. So people, if you read a lot of stuff about Madden players, they want other options, and 2K will provide that.
The other good thing that happens with this, right, is people get to understand the rules better as you're playing these games. You're like, oh, so this is how the special team works. This is how the overtime works. If you're actually invested in it and you're playing it, way better understanding the actual rule book, which in turn makes you more of a fan of the game.
And teams' offenses when you're picking plays and stuff.
That's true.
I think that, and it'll be interesting to see how they deal with the rosters, right? Yeah. So, for example,
they're so fluid.
Well, right now they're fluid because it's a brand new league. But if somebody really excels in the XFL, I mean, the ideal spot is to move to the NFL and vice versa. And how are guys going to be keep going back and forth with the rosters? I guess with video games being you're able to stream in and download new rosters, that may not be an issue. But it was one thing I was thinking about when they came out with this news is how are they going to structure the rosters, the players? Are they going to you have to download a new package every week with the new rosters? It'll just be interesting to see how they do it.
Yeah. So at the time of this recording, we know that DraftKings is happening. That's really all the details we know at this point, but we know it's happening. DraftKings has come out and said this is happening. The video game is more of a rumor. And to me, it's shocking that the XFL would be able to pull this off before playing a single snap. To have somebody, commit to, I mean, that to go through the development and production of a video game. I mean, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of time, and that's a lot of money. So to commit to a league that hasn't even played one single snap, if this rumor is true, that says a ton about the credibility of the XFL with the outside community, not just in the football world.
Yeah, it's for. I mean, if you guys remember a couple of years ago, Kurt Schilling started his own video game company, and he lost like $90 million in the span of a year.
Lost a lot of money.
That's what goes into making and that was just that was literally one video game, I believe. So that's what goes into doing these video games. So Riley, you hit the nail on the head. It's a big financial commitment. So if the rumors are true, that's the best news an XFL fan can hear, because that means they think the league is long term.
Yeah, these are just more opportunities to get to know the league, get to know the players. Pastel, you mentioned it, get to know the rules in like a video game. So building that brand is crucial. And these two elements are huge pieces to building that brand. So look out for more information from DraftKings as we get closer to the season, because it's going to have to come out quick. I mean, we're only a few weeks from the start of the year, and then
they responded back to a tweet. They responded back to a couple of tweets, people asking about it, saying they're coming out with lineups here shortly. Lineups and how to create leagues and things like that. So
I would think probably right after final cutdowns.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I don't know if they start developing a video game. Obviously, it probably would take till next year to come out. I would imagine.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to come out with a video game during the middle of a season, but just to know that that's in the process would be huge news for the XFL. So, both of these are it's big time news for the XFL for building that brand. So we'll see what develops with the potential video game, and then DraftKings as more details come out with that. What's up, football fans? This is Riley from XFL Chalk Talk. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all things XFL and interact with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at XFL Chalk Talk.